Howdy everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing some light work. Not a whole lot of automation. Make some quality of life stuff and just to make things a little simpler for us down the road. Now, before we get into it, I just want to show you what I've been into. So, I got a shell around the inventory building. Nothing special, not sealed, just literally some armor to help keep some of it from getting blown up. I got somewhat of a radar built. Not sure how I like it. I mean, it's different, but I don't know. Something's just, it doesn't look right still, so I might look into a different shape for that. I don't know. We'll see. And then you'll see I've changed a few things on our rover that we built in the last episode. So I've added these outriggers. That way, if we go to pick something up from one of the bases or a downed ship that we find, we'll be able to stabilize ourselves. And I've also reoriented the guns because I want this to be able to fold how it is now. So you'll see the hinge is actually at 90 degrees. And this is kind of what I want the gun to do when I'm not using it. Say we're just traveling, we're just rolling down the countryside. This is what I want it to be. But I don't want to have to go into the console to set all of this stuff manually. I mean, I could. It'd only take about 5 seconds. But I also want to automate things. So that's what we're going to do. I also want to do an automation for these outriggers to send them out automatically and then to bring them back in automatically. So we'll have to set it up to where they automatically lock and then they unlock and pull up. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, I know you've probably seen the intro as well. And I may have traveled halfway around the planet to finally find uranium. It's 50 kilometers that way. Well, that's just an old one on our way here. But yeah, it was definitely the farthest one I had to do. So it took a little bit. It probably took about 2 to 3 hours to actually find the uranium, and that's about normal. Don't get frustrated if you don't find uranium in the first half hour, whatever. It's just that hard to find. Plus, it's almost the same color as half of the asteroids. So, you just got to keep an eye on that. But because it's so, I don't want to say rare. It's finite. Like, there's not much around. A lot can be used with just a little bit of uranium. So, just keep that in mind. You don't need a lot. But enough with the intros, enough with the dialogue, enough with my sad backstory on finding uranium and having to travel half the galaxy to find it. Let's get all these GPS points off. And let's go ahead and automate a rover. Or, well, the turret on a rover. And then maybe we'll drive it around. Go see the sights. Sound good? I think so. First, I need to make sure I have stuff. I have some stuff. Let me get more stuff. Oh, I'll fix that later. Let us... I need everything, please. Container. Give me a little bit more of those. I should be good from there. So, what I'm gonna need to do this, I'm hoping, we get out our stuff. I'm gonna want 2 timer blocks. And actually, let me change the color of that because we want to make it stand out. So let's go with our orange. Kind of like that. I like how you weld that one first. Thanks, fellas. And then 2 event controllers. And we'll see how that works. Hopefully that is enough to do what I want. That is the hope anyway. And I think they're just going to continue welding on that, which is fine. Stay out of my way. Oh, nope, I just heard them. They went away. Ah! Like, that one's done. That one's done. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Go in here. Now that we have our stuff, we're going to name these all turret. Just so these ones do. Prefix names. Cool. Now one timer block I'm going to name fold. The other one I'm going to name unfold. I know, real original. Don't hate me. Event controllers. I want one for the hinge and one for the rotor. That way, we can control each one and keep an eye on each one. So, first, in our fold, we're just going to start from the beginning. We want to go to 0 delay, and its actions are going to be, is this one? Yes. Grab the turret. We are going to increase velocity because we want to have it start spinning. And then we grab our hinge and decrease velocity. Now this one depends on how you positioned your hinge. Mine is going to be decrease. Because if we take a look, let me get out of here. The hinge sitting in the position that I want it to be in is at 200 and... That's not right. 270 degrees on a hinge? Don't think so, Kimasabi. Oh, it's got the hinge lock on. Negative 89. There we go. So the hinge is at negative 89 degrees. So that means if this is pointed upwards, I want it to go down, which means I'll have to go negative to negative 89. And then the hinge, we're literally just going to set to spin in a circle, so you just increase velocity for that one. Back into our actions. So we have increased velocity on the rotor and decreased velocity on the hinge because we want it to come downwards. Next, we want to turn on our 2 event controllers because I am going to have these turn off when they are done looking, because when we turn on everything to let this AI control the turret, I don't want these event controllers trying to control it to not control it, but to keep looking for certain stuff. And I'll explain that, what I mean. And then we want our turret controller to turn off because we're not going to be using it. We want it folded. We don't want the AI bringing it up and swinging it all over the place. If I need it to shoot something, I will turn it back on. Sound good? I think so. So, we have our fold done. But what are the steps for folding? Well, we're going to go to our rotor first, because that's the easier one. We're going to go from cargo filled to angle changed. I'm going to go equal to or greater than. Now we have to see what angle our rotor is at in the position we want it to be in. Mine is currently there. You can move yours around in the console. Just set it to like 1 RPM and watch your turret and see where it goes. But mine is at 0.04. So basically 0 degrees is where it wants to be at when it's facing forward. So if we go to our rotor, now we can't set this at 0 degrees because anything past 0 or anything above it, it's going to do the action that I tell it to do. And we can't go below 0 because there's nothing below 0. It just jumps to negative. Well, it goes negatives, but we don't want to go into negatives. Because if I increase speed, it's going to go from 0 to 360 and keep going. So there won't be any negatives. So what I want to do is go all the way up to 359. Because when it comes to rotors, 360 is equal to 0. They are the same spot on the rotor. So we want just before 0. That way, when it hits 360, it considers it above, equal or greater to 359. And it will stop at the 0. Sound good? I think so. Now the actions I want it to do is to grab our rotor. I want it to turn the rotor lock on. Go to the next one. I want it to turn off the rotor. So that way it's not using power. It uses very little, but on a rover that mainly runs on uranium, I don't have hydrogen engines to recharge the batteries. And I only have those few small reactors. And I don't have a whole lot of uranium. I want to save as much power as possible. So I want to turn that rotor off when I'm not using it. And then last, we're going to grab the event controller for our rotor and have it turn itself off because we no longer need it. Now let's go to our hinge. And we're going to do something very similar. Cargo filled. We want to change to angle changed. Equal to or greater than. We want to change to equal or less than. And then we want negative 89. Because we looked, we want our hinge to be negative 90. So we want negative 89 to be where it triggers. But negative 90 is technically less than negative 89. So we want equal or less than. Select actions. We want to grab the hinge for our turret. Hinge lock on off. On our second hotbar, we want to turn off that hinge. And then on the third hotbar, turn off that turret controller. Or the event controller. I'm sorry. Now, we want to make sure in both of these that we have the correct stuff. So in our hinge, we're going to add our 3x3 hinge. And in the rotor, we have our 3x3 rotor. Now we can go to our unfold timer block. This is probably the simplest one. We're going to set the delay to 0. We're going to go to setup actions. We are going to take our rotor and turn it on. We're going to take our rotor and unlock. We're going to take our hinge and turn it on. Take our hinge again and unlock. And then we are going to turn on the custom turret controller because we turned it off when we folded. Okay? I think that should be pretty good. Now, you'll see in my hotbar here, I did test this briefly just to see what kind of movements I needed and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why I was able to do this a little quicker. There was a few hours of testing just to get it right. But if I go and bring my timer block for the fold, I want to start, and my timer block for the unfold and start. And then I also want to be able to look at the custom turret controller. I want to see if it's on or off. I'm not going to press that button, but I just want to see it switch from on to off. And then I'm also going to grab the rotor to just see if it's on or off. Again, just watching it, making sure it switches. Now what I'm going to do is go to my two event controllers, turn them off, and then I get to play with my turret stuff, which I think I hid. I did. So let's go to our rotor, and let us just take the velocity somewhere. Why are you not moving? Oh, because that's off, or on. So we need to turn the custom turret controller off if you have your stuff folded or not. So let's just send it somewhere. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let it just spin, and I'll give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. Sure, that's where it's going. Now we're going to do the same thing with the hinge. I am just going to... There it is. Send it back the other way. Oh. It did not like that. But now we are good to go. Okay, so let's press number 5 and see what happens. Now I have my turret controller off because if I think what's going to happen does... Here, I'll just show you. I'll turn the turret controller on, and I'll press number 5. Doesn't work. Now if I press it again, everything moves. Beautiful. That's what I want to see. Now, we have 2 issues. One, the rotor's still moving. And 2, our turret controller has to be turned off before we hit the timer block. We don't want either one of those. So what we want to do is we want to go in. We want to go to our event controllers. Set up actions. So in our toolbars, we have rotor lock, rotor toggle off, and event controller for the rotor toggle off. We want to add decrease velocity to that. That will stop it moving. And then we're just going to add the same thing to the hinge. Select actions and go to number 4. Go to our turret hinge. And this one we want to increase velocity because we decreased it in the beginning. So that should take care of that. So let's go ahead and reset everything. We want our turret's velocity to stop. And hinge lock off. And then if we go to our rotor, lock off. velocity down. Now we need to solve the problem of the custom turret controller, because right now it has to be off for that to work. Now I could leave it down here on my toolbar and just say, okay, I'll turn that one off and then do this. But I want it all to happen on one button because I'm lazy. So I am just going to add one more timer block. Kind of like that. Let them weld that up for me. There it is. Go to this one. And this one is going to be... Let's do start fold. Because we already have a folding timer block. So let's just do start fold. That way I know which one is the first one. And its only actions, after we put the delay down, is going to be to grab that fold timer block, start that, and to turn off our custom turret controller. So now we can do both of those at the same time with one button instead of two. Just because I can. And now in my hotbar, I'm going to get rid of fold. I'm going to grab our start fold and start. So now, if the one thing, wherever it's at, that one, custom turret controller, is turned on, our hinge is turned on, there's no rotor lock. What degree are you? Let's just send you up into the stratosphere real quick. Really don't like that, does it? And then it's already at a good spot there. So let's go ahead and turn on the custom turret controller. And now, if I press number 5, everything moves. It's rotating. It looks like it tried to stop. Take a look at that. Turret. It is turned off. Rotor lock is on. And velocity is 0. So let's see what happens if I don't turn that rotor off. So I'm just going to remove the toggle block off and see what happens. Now I do have to reset everything because it's kind of what sucks. Turn you on. Now let's try it again. Everything starts moving. And there we go. Perfect. Now if we take a look, I want to see our hinge. Velocity is 0. Current angle. Where are you at? Negative 90. No? 270. Oh, it's because the lock is on. It's always weird that way. So, we go to our rotor. Current angle is 0. Like we wanted. Rotor lock is on. Velocity is 0. Now, it is still turned on, but input power is 200 watts. It's not using a whole lot, so we should be okay. Hinge was able to turn off, so that's a good thing. One less thing we have to worry about. Custom turret controller is turned off. Event controllers are both turned off. So the only thing we couldn't turn off was the rotor because it needs to use its braking torque to actually stop, which is fine. I like it. Beautiful. Now, we are going to automate these pistons and see what we can do. So let's go ahead and put all of our turret stuff away. Add those to it. Now we can go to, I think I already had them. Yeah, outriggers. Those are those pistons. And then bracing mag plates. Cool. Now, we're going to need to control the piston extending. We're going to need to be able to sense when the mag locks are ready to lock. We're going to need to be able to change those to lock and to turn the pistons either retracting or stopping. And then we're going to need to also unlock those mag plates and then bring the pistons up to fold them away. So if we think about it, let's go ahead and change the color of this one. We got a little bit of yellow on the ship, so let's go ahead and do this. We need one timer block to activate the pistons and get them moving. We are going to need an event controller to find or to look at the pistons and the mag plates and control what to do there. And then we are going to need another timer block to retract them. And that should be all we need. So let's take a look. Timer block. If we go to outriggers, extend, and then our other one is going to be outriggers, get rid of the automation, and then retract. Beautiful. And then our last event controller is just going to be bracing. Because that's basically what those are. They're just braces for us to lean on while we're operating the crane. So, let's start with extending. Start from the beginning. We want to have the delay down. Our actions are going to be to grab the pistons. I think I grouped them. Yes, outriggers. We're going to increase velocity. Next, we are going to take our bracing mags and just make sure they are unlocked. Just in case they get stuck to the side of the ship for some stupid reason. Next, we are going to go into our event controller. And we are going to change cargo filled to... where is it at? Magnetic lock ready. That's what we use for magnet plates. And it will be these two that I have not named because I'm a dum-dum. And then its actions are going to be groups, bracing mags, switch lock, and then our outriggers decrease velocity. Oops, not on the same hotbar like I do in every episode. Decrease velocity. Beautiful. And then I also want to turn off this event controller. There it is. Up here. So if I go to toolbar 3, event controller, turn off. Now that I've turned off that event controller though, I want to go back into the extend, go to actions, and I want to turn on that event controller. That way it gets turned on when we extend. It'll search for what it's searching for, do the actions, and shut itself off. That way we're not wasting power. Hopefully. And next, we go to our retract. We don't need an event controller for this one, because it's just going to bring those pistons up. So what we want to do is go to actions. We want to go to our two groups. We're going to unlock the mag plates. And we're going to retract our outrig pistons. And hopefully, if I've thought about this in my brain hole the right way, that should work. So I'm just going to get rid of my waypoints so we can see. And then I am also going to get rid of these two. And put on our new timer blocks. So we have our outriggers extend and outriggers retract. Now if I go ahead and press 7, let's see what happens. Nothing. So if we go to our extend timer block and set up the actions, we have our outriggers. We're going to make that increase velocity. We have our bracing mags. We have our bracing event controller toggled on. Now, when the event controller sees that the magnetic plates are ready to lock, it goes ahead and toggles the lock. It decreases the velocity on those outrig pistons. And then it also turns off that event controller. What we're going to do, oops, not that, is go ahead and place one more event controller. And it'll go over here. Well, please. Thank you. And this event controller is just going to be bracing up. And this one I'm just going to put down, just so I know which one it is. You know, I already know, but whatever. Anyway, this last event controller is going to be... where is it at? Piston position. Threshold 0%. Equal to or less than. And then we want both of those two pistons for our outriggers. We want to hit the AND gate because we want both of them to be at 0. And then the actions are going to be simple. We are going to increase the velocity again to bring it to 0. We are going to turn off this event controller. That should take care of what we needed to do. And then if we go back to our retract timer block, we now have to add that event controller to turn on. And there we go. So now, if we get out of here, we should be able to see number 7. Press that. happened? Okay, it's because I didn't reset the pistons. But if we hit 7 now, there they go. Maglock hit. They are locked. And the pistons are not trying to pull us into the ground. They just lock wherever they're able to. And it looks like that one is sitting up just a tip higher than that one, but that's okay. Now if I press 8, there we go. Cool. And then they turn back off. And if we look, outriggers, velocity is 0. Press 7. They extend. We lock. Press number 8 and zoom in. They unlock and come up. So, just to run through that again, we have our timer block for the extend. Its actions. Increase velocity for the pistons. Unlock the maglocks, just in case for some reason they end up locking to our ship. Turning on the event controller for the bracing down. Our bracing down event controller is looking for those magnetic plates to be ready to lock. When it sees it is going to switch lock the magnetic plate, decrease velocity on the pistons to bring them to 0, turn off the event controller for the bracing down, and that's it. Now when we hit the retract one, its actions are going to be unlock the mag plates, decrease velocity on our pistons, and turn on the event controller for the bracing up. Then if we go to our bracing up event controller, it is looking for the piston position equal to or less than 0%. You could probably make that 1% just to be a little on the safe side, but those are 2 pistons. And its actions are going to be to increase velocity on those pistons to bring them back to 0, and then to turn off the event controllers. Or just this one anyway. Basically turning itself off. And that's it. Simple, easy to remember, easy to do, easy to follow. Because then you can do stuff like this. You can put your rig down, use your crane however you want, bring it back up, and off you go. All without leaving your cockpit. And then, oh no, a drone's coming. We can just hit number 6 and turn on our turret, which I don't need to do right now because there's nothing around me. Beautiful. So, with that, I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Contact me on the Discord. That is also down in the description. Or follow and DM me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter anyway, because you'll see when I go live, I post video updates, maybe some sneak peeks. And we'll see what we can do. And I'll never leave you guys high and dry, I promise. But with that, I bid you guys farewell and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See you later, everybody.